Thank you for joining us in paying your respects to those that were lost, suffered, and sacrificed from all wars, conflicts, and peace operations. Traditionally, Remembrance Day marks the anniversary of the armistice which ended the First World War, 1918. However, it is important to pause and reflect on the important role that Australian servicemen and women played in all wars. This year also marks the 75th anniversary of the end of World War II. Yesterday evening, the memorial flame was lit at the end of the Memorial Laneway, leading between the Gympie and Widgie Memorial Gates and Memorial Park. The memorial flame was unveiled in the year 2000. The flame is lit to burn for 24 hours on the 11th of November for Remembrance Day. We will remember lest we forget. We will now have a little journey through some of our war memorial sites in the Gympie region. And there are many war memorial statues, plaques and sites throughout our region. Country halls as memorial halls with roll honour boards proudly placed to forever remember their sacrifice. On our Gympie Regional Library's local history blog, we have published a list of war memorial remembrance sites.
If you can scroll up with that.
Anticipating all participants for a moment.
What's this got to do with Tennyson?
It's not Tennyson.
Oh.
It's the same program that we'll be using for Tennyson next week.
Oh, I see.
In our Gympie Regional Libraries local history blog, we have published a list of war memorial remembrance sites throughout our region. This can be found at gympieregionalmemories.com. Also, on our Gympie Regional Libraries catalogue via our library website and through our local history tab, you are able to access some of our curated collections on the Gympie Memorial Park, Gympie and Widgie Memorial Gates and Laneway, memorials from around the region, and photos from the Anzac Day 2020. Today we start our virtual memorial tour with this beautiful photo of the Gympie and Widgie District Fallen Soldiers Memorial Gates, which lead through to the Fallen Soldiers Memorial Park. The gates were erected to the memory of the fallen soldiers of the Boer War, 1899 to 1902, and World War I, 1914 to 1918, known then as the Great War. On the 9th of January 1919, only 2 months after the end of World War I, the Mayor of Gympie, Alderman Robert Stiert, chaired a public meeting called to consider a suitable memorial for soldiers who had lost their lives. One suggestion from Arthur Henderson, son of sawmiller William Henderson, was that of the site of the Union Sawmill and that it should be developed as a memorial park. Invited to visit Gympie, Harry Moore, the Brisbane City Council's park superintendent, favoured the sawmill site. After further negotiations, the Henderson family also offered to donate a laneway, 9.45 metres wide, on their Mary Street allotment number 8 to allow access to the park from Mary Street. This laneway became and remains an essential part of the war memorial. In 1919, a competition was held by the Queensland Institute of Architects for the design of the memorial gates at the Mary Street entrance to the Memorial Lane. The winner of the competition was a young George Ray, who was a draftsman with Lang Powell Architects. The The Brisbane City Council also donated the services of its architect, Mr. Albert Herbert Foster, to design a bandstand for the park. As well as serving as a memorial, this structure honours a popular local bandmaster, Mr. Frederick Thomas Percival, who died in 1907. During 1920, foundations for the memorial gates were dug and pillars prepared by Brisbane monumental masons, Petrie and Son, were erected. These pillars displayed the names of 167 World War I and 2 Boer War soldiers from Gympie. The wrought iron gates, which were covered in wreaths each Anzac Day, fabricated by local iron founders Coombe and Son. Memorial Lane, Memorial Park, and the bandstand were ready for a brief visit on the 3rd of August 1920 of Edward, Prince of Wales. The Prince arrived in Gympie by train and was driven by car through cheering crowds to Memorial Park. At the bandstand, he was formally welcomed and he made a short speech before returning to the railway station through Memorial Lane. To avoid giving offence by accepting some invitations and declining others, the Prince had decided not to open any war memorials on his Australian tour, and the official opening of the Memorial Park had to wait. The project of the Memorial Park was officially opened by Gympie's popular war hero, Major General Sir William Glasgow, on Wednesday, the 20th of April, 1921. This event was accompanied by a procession, a carnival, a concert, and several days of celebrations. On the 1st of April, 1921, war trophies in the form of captured field guns arrived in Gympie. 3 of these guns, supplied by the Commonwealth Government, became features along the Young Street side of the Memorial Park. In 1946, after an accident in which a young boy had his finger crushed while playing on one of the guns, the Gympie City Council removed them from the park. There are many other wonderful stories with the Memorial Park. In 1921, pioneer aviator Bert Hinkler, whose grandparents lived in Gympie, flew low over Memorial Park before landing at the showgrounds at Southside. His Avro Baby aeroplane was towed to Memorial Park and displayed there for several days. Next year, we will celebrate the centenary of the opening of Gympie's Memorial Park. We will have much more to share next year. In 1940, after the outbreak of World War II, underground air raid shelters, also accommodating up to 30 people, were dug in Memorial Park, adjacent to the bandstand. In a reminder of early gold mining, they were walled in like shafts, reinforced by concrete, roofed in timber, and covered over with earth. After the war, they were filled in. We have many beautiful photos of Memorial Park and early ones of the bandstand. And you can see much change in the gardens, the way plants have grown and changed. The fence has been removed. Here is a photo of one of the guns which have been removed. In Memorial Park, on Remembrance Day In 1988, Colonel Colin Townsend unveiled a plaque to honour servicemen and women who served in post-World War II conflicts in Korea, Vietnam, Malaya and Borneo. The plaque, which is mounted on a 6-ton sandstone block carved with a cross, was dedicated by Fred Aylward. The memorial was organised by local Tom Herford, with the stone for the memorial sourced from the Monkland Quarry, and Mr. Roy Kavanagh supplying the sandstone posts. Gympie City Council poured the concrete, with both the then Gympie and Widgie Shire councils sharing the cost. In December 1990, an anonymous donor gave $2,500 for the purpose of applying brass name plaques to 100 trees in Memorial Park. A wooden pole celebrating peace and honouring volunteers was also erected near the bandstand in 2001. A beautiful multi-purpose space, now with a new kiddies park, Memorial Park reflects both national pride and the Australian spirit, and continues to be, as its founders intended, a living tribute. Another beautiful memorial site in the Gympie region is the Normanby Hill Remembrance Park. The park was constructed as part of the Australia Remembers program, which commemorated the 50th anniversary of the cessation of the hostilities of World War II, and was envisioned and designed by the Australian Remembrance Committee Gympie. The project was funded by federal government and the Cooloola Shire Council under New Work Opportunities program, which was administered by the Department of Environment, Education and Training. Under this program, the park was built by the participants and staff of co-sponsor organisation Gympie Skills Centre. Normanby Hill Remembrance Park was officially opened on the 26th of January 1996 by Councillor McClintock, then Mayor of the Cooloola Shire Council. It features 2 black columns with a marble finish on the stone base. Each column has life-size images of servicemen and women. Either side features 154 trees that honour those who died overseas during World War II. The front inscription reads, "They shall not grow old, as we that are left to grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun, and in the morning, we will remember them." And there's a wonderful poem here that was written by Phyllis Chatay, I think we would say it, "We Won't Forget," which was published when the Normanby Hill Remembrance Park was opened. "We won't forget, they came from all parts of our great state, some still not knowing their loved one's fate. Boys born, bred in this district and town, left jobs, went to war, the sun went down. Their relations, friends, sad, held their breath when word came through of a loved one's death. In Air Force, Army, Navy they fought, our victory was so dearly bought. No burial grave, lost without trace, if only parents could know the place. Where they rest unknown on foreign land, then their sacrifice we could understand. The Normanby Hill Remembrance Park, for each lost son a new tree will mark. How well we remember each son went to fight for freedom, happy, content. They gave their lives, yet they're with us yet. They were real, much loved, we won't forget." Now we're taken to other sites throughout the Gympie region, and we'll start here with the Gomerri War Memorial, which is a very interesting and unique memorial. So the most unique feature of this memorial is the clock. Have you seen it? If you look closely, no numbers appear on the clock face. They're replaced by letters spelling "lest we forget," a timely message and it's illuminated at night. The Gympie War Memorial Clock was unveiled on early November 1940 by the RSL State President, Mr. Hoosh. The 22.5 metre high concrete memorial honours local men who died. The southern face bears a polished granite plaque with the engraved names of 9 who died in World War I. The western face displays the names of 12 who died in World War II. This is a wonderful photograph we have in the collection from circa 1918, and it was at a lagoon near Gomerri where the locals had their peace celebrations at the end of World War I. There was a procession, a peace float, and a marching band. The Maryborough Chronicle, on the 20th of November 1940, there was an article about Gomerri's £700 war memorial that was unveiled. They wrote and reported the unveiling ceremony of the Gomerri War Memorial took place recently at 7:30 p.m. 8 light horsemen stood with reversed arms, and a squad of returning soldiers was in attendance. Mr. T.H. Spencer, chairman of the Kilkivan Shire Council, said they had met to unveil a monument erected in memory of local lads who had fallen in the Great War of 1914 to 1918. Some beautiful features of the memorial clock. Even the door, the hatch door there. Beautiful coat of arms. Gomerri also has the Memorial Hall of Memory. In March 1926, the general public of Gomerri appointed a board of trustees to acquire land and to build a commemorative building to soldiers who were killed in World War I. The hall was opened on the 28th of July 1926. The hall was used for many different community activities. In December 1929, there was a popular girls' competition run, sports days, and a ball in the evening. The hall also served as the community's theatre. During the threat of Japanese invasion, the basement of the hall became a storage place for emergency supplies. These supplies were rail freighted in and trucked under police guard. The hall is still used today. We have a blog post about the Gomerri Hall of Memory on our Gympie Regional Memory site. It has some wonderful pictures and some clippings. Now let's travel to Imbil. Imbil has a wonderful and unique war memorial clock. It's inscribed with, "These men from the Mary Valley enlisted in World War II, 1939 to 1945, and paid the supreme sacrifice for this country." It was unveiled on Remembrance Day in 1997 by the Mary Valley RSL sub-branch President Clive Colburn, and the monument was erected by the Lions Club of Gympie South. Imbil also has their memorial hall, and in the newspaper in 1926 of August is reported that the contractor has commenced building operations on the new memorial hall and expects to have it completed before the Mary Valley show. His Excellency the Lieutenant Governor, Mr. W. Lennon, has intimated his intention to officially open the War Memorial School of Arts on October the 2nd. At a meeting of the Mary Valley Show Society held in the Imbil Hall, the tender of the Imbil returned soldiers for the soft drink stall was accepted, and that of Mr. Girdler for karting. And as I have mentioned, we do have a list of our memorial sites on our Gympie Regional Memories blog and a link from our catalogue for our curated collection, which includes many photos taken this year of our memorial sites. So you can have a look at those photos, more photos as well in our collection. Let's have a look at Amamore. The Amamore community celebrated the end of World War II at the Amamore Hall in 1945 with a victory peace walk. Whilst there is no official memorial at Amamore, wonderfully, the Amamore State School has a memorial orchard. The orchard features 12 fruit trees of citrus, fig and stone fruit as a living memorial to 12 men from the Mary Valley who did not return from World War I. Each tree is accompanied by a mounted plaque identifying the individuals they represent. The memorial also features timberwork from the district's forests, and the orchard entry is lined with Gallipoli rosemary. Neighbouring Amamore is Kandanga. Kandanga has a wonderful soldiers' memorial. In 1920, it was reported in the paper that the work of erecting a monument at Kandanga in honour of those who fell in the Great War having been completed, the ceremony of unveiling was performed on Thursday, the second anniversary of Armistice Day. Residents of all parts of the Mary Valley from Gympie to Brooloo assembled at Kandanga to be present at the ceremony and to honour those who had fallen. Amongst those present were many returned soldiers. And here is a wonderful photo of that opening of the Soldiers' Memorial at Kandanga. They actually had 2 minutes silence, and that was observed at 11 o'clock. Mr. Farrell, who was chairman of the Kandanga Memorial Committee, was presiding, and subsequently Mr. H.F. Walker, MLA, unveiled the monument, which had been draped with the Union Jack. And we can see that there. It's a wonderful photo, a moment in history. Mr. Paul sounded the last post. The returned soldiers then marched past the monument. Mrs. King placed a handsome floral offering at the foot of the memorial. The monument, which is situated in Main Street, the rise of the hill from the railway station, is 16.5 feet in height, and at the top, in stone figure of a soldier, 5.5 foot high, standing with reversed arms on a stone pedestal with 4 marble panels, bearing the inscription, the names of soldiers who made the supreme sacrifice. At the foot of the monument are 2 grey granite steps. The monument is enclosed with galvanised iron bars, supported by 4 grey granite pillars. Another beautiful memorial. Now we travel to Kilkivan. Tongue-tied this morning. So here is Kilkivan's War Memorial, a very commanding large memorial stone. here is a close-up of the plaques, the dedication, the memory of those men and women from Kilkivan and their district who served their country in the Boer War, World War I and World War II, and the Korean, Malaysian and Vietnam campaigns. You can see there on the plaque as well that the original basic design was by a Kilkivan State School student. We head to the bay, Tin Can Bay. Now, Tin Can Bay's War Memorial is at Anzac Memorial Park, and it's a low brick wall proclaiming the park name and was erected in 1992. It surrounds a stone memorial displaying World War II honour roll and plaque. There is also a Vietnam War Memorial at Kalula Cove at the Veterans and Community Centre. Lest we forget. So here's an interesting article that was published in the newspaper of the time when the slab of granite, the original war memorial that was erected opposite the Tin Can Bay School at the time. Thought it was an interesting inclusion. And the beautiful Rainbow Beach. Now this photograph shows the stone memorial at the Rainbow Beach War Memorial. The plaque inscription reads, "The citizens of Rainbow Beach pay tribute to those men and women who fought and served their country in time of war and conflict." It was dedicated by Bruce Dorman and unveiled by Cole Townsend on the 18th of August, 2000. I just included this wonderful photo as we head towards Wolvi. And this photo shows the Wolvi community. Its blurb reads, "After both world wars, a great fuss was made of men returning from military service, with the community giving them welcome home parties. This gathering in the Wolvi school grounds was photographed after World War I. In the second row are 5 soldiers shown with family and friends who were very glad to have them safe home. Ted Egan is one of the soldiers, and this photograph was provided by Hillcoats." Now, many of our region's halls are memorial halls, and no exception with the Wolvi District Hall as a war memorial. It was established in 1923 after World War I. And as I have mentioned, we have a list of all the memorial statues, plaques, memorial stones, sites and halls on our Gympie Regional Memories blog. And I'll share that again at the end. And a lot of the country halls proudly display their Roll of Honour boards. Here is the Wolvi District Honour Roll for First World War. And the Roll of Honour that includes World War II. Now I've included a photo here. This is Mrs. Salmon, who was Lucy Salmon, and 5 of her sons. Now, few parents can have sacrificed more to Australia's effort in the Great War than Albert and Lucy Salmon. They had 15 children, although 2 died at infancy. One of their sons, Hugh, was adopted. He was the son of Lucy's sister, Maud. Of the 7 boys who survived childhood and were old enough to serve, 5 of those went to war with their mother, Lucy's blessing. Mrs. Lucy Salmon was advised in 1916 by the Defence Department that her son, Private L. Salmon, 26th Battalion, is returning to Australia about the 20th instant. This lad with his brothers, Clem and Tom, had been away for 20 months. He saw service first at Gallipoli and afterwards in France. A cable received from Gunner H. Salmon, 34th Battery, in August stated that he had met his brothers and that Clem and Tom Salmon have been in the thick of things all through the big advance and are still alive and well. That was December 1916. Private Lawrence Salmon returned home in 1916 suffering from shell shock and epilepsy. But sadly, Thomas and Hugh paid the supreme sacrifice. Thank you for joining us for Remembrance Day 2020 with Gympie Regional Libraries. Thank you for paying your respects with our silent montage and for joining us with our virtual tour throughout the region's memorial sites. As mentioned at the beginning of the talk, we have our Gympie Regional Memories website, which is our blog, which features many articles about many different history stories, and our latest post there is the Gympie Region War Memorials, which is a listing of, as I mentioned, halls, memorial statues, and remembrance sites. If we have omitted any entry, please let us know. We've tried to include as many as we could. You can also visit our Gympie Regional Libraries website. And if you click on over through to our library catalogue, up the top along the top menu is the local history tab. If you select that, you can see our wonderful curated collections, which include our Anzac Day 2020 collection of photos from the Light Up the Dawn. It was a very unique Anzac Day this year. We also have our recent photos of memorials from around the region, our Memorial Park collection, and our Gympie and Widgie District Memorial Gates and Laneway collection, as well as many other collections involved. So that's the end of our Remembrance Day Memorial talk. Thank you very much for joining. Lest we forget, we will remember. Thank you.